Hello everybody, Ani. Welcome to the iPads in the Classroom, How to Protect the iPads for Early Learners, aka Young Children, online tutorial. I get to use the word baloney in this tutorial. I'm very excited about that. I've heard people say iPads are good for, older students, but they're really not suitable for children. Here it comes. That is grade A baloney. The iPad has many features that are incredibly useful for young children. And even though this is a delicate device, there are cases on the market to protect this device in case young children drop it. Hey, there's cases on the market to protect it if adults drop the iPad, which does happen, as we know. So, first of all, let's talk about cases. I have one here that I got at Staples. It's very rubbery. It is called the M-Edge, and there's a spot for the camera and the controls here. You simply pop the iPad into this case and just give it a snap. Alright, it bounces and it's really fun to grip onto. It allows you also to use the camera because of the hole in the back and the volume buttons. Okay, this one's not bad. However, if it falls, it might pop out of the case because it's actually very easy to take it out of the case right now. So there's one option. However, there are two other companies who make wonderful rubberized cases that I would strongly recommend. I don't have the cases with me, but I will pull up the website on Safari. One of them is the OtterBox. The OtterBox cases range from $50 to $70 depending on the device, and they make some really great rubberized cases that very much protect the device and also, I believe, the screen. You're going to want to investigate if these cases have both a screen protector and a regular case. Some of them don't. So that's the OtterBox. That's a good one. Another one is the Griffin case, and this is a favorite in many schools. They come in many delightful colors, and again, it's a rubberized case so that it can be dropped. And I've heard one teacher say that she was using it at home and dropped it on her tile floor from about 4 feet up, and it was fine. So a good $60 insurance policy for the iPad. So those are some cases that we would recommend to protect the device from anyone, but specifically from young children who are a bit more rambunctious sometimes with things, but can be easily taught, of course. Another thing about using the iPad with young children, you're going to want to model and walk them through the proper usages of these devices. It's not a good idea to just hand it to them without any sort of direction. You're going to want to let them know this is like a baby. We treat it very delicately. We pick it up with 2 hands. We set it on the table to use it. We make sure we are sitting down if possible. All those sorts of things are really important to discuss with young children so that they understand that this is something very delicate and we want to respect that. So, in another online tutorial, I've talked about apps for early learners. And I just had to do a backup here. I don't know if I have my apps for early learners, but there are some apps that are specifically designed for early learners. There's so many, in fact, that they're pervasive throughout all the subject areas, so I've put them in different folders here. For example, Endless ABC is one that I've talked about in my early learners online tutorial. All right. So very colorful, very stimulating apps that are very suitable for the young minds. There was actually a story on CBC a few weeks ago about some gorillas that are starting to use iPads. So if apes can do it, everyone else can do it, I'm sure. Okay, there are some features that I've talked about in sessions that you need to restrict on the iPads to make it safe for early learners. I'll repeat again for those of you who are specifically tuning in to find out about early learner apps. and early learners with the iPads. But again, you'll find that I've made a restrictions online tutorial about the same subject. There are things on the iPad that can be hazardous to young children, or to any students for that matter. FaceTime is an online chat program where you can basically Skype a video conference with people. And Safari does not restrict its content. So that's something to keep in mind, which means that it will allow people of all ages to view unsuitable material. Another one is YouTube. You need to be very careful with YouTube. It also does not restrict its material. There is a function on YouTube where you can go into the settings and restrict material. However, that setting does not catch everything, and some things slip by. For example, on YouTube, you can set up the settings so that it does not allow profanity and that sort of thing. However, a child can still view a music video whose title does not have profanity in it, and it might not have a warning, but still might see explicit content, and there still might be the slip-up of a swear. So, let's talk about these restrictions and how to set up the device so that it's safe for young students. If we go into our settings, we go into General, and we go to Restrictions. Right now the default setting is that these things are all allowed. We can enable restrictions. You're going to want to set a passcode that everyone on staff will know, but the students will not know. Do not type the passcode in front of the students because they will figure it out that way. That was a very interesting situation that another school that I was at found out that they couldn't figure out how the students were getting the restrictions passcode, and it turns out that the teachers were typing it in front of them. So there you go. So right now we can disallow Safari, we can disallow the camera and FaceTime, which automatically gets turned off with the camera. We can disallow installing apps and disallow deleting apps, and disallow Siri, which is a new feature that you can only find on the next generation iPads and newer, and disallow explicit language on Siri, which I can talk about later on in another online tutorial. So we've set that up, and as you can see, those features are gone. I do not have FaceTime or Safari. I actually don't even have the App Store anymore. But let's talk about YouTube. So if you have the YouTube app on your device, which I don't have right now, the students might be able to access some explicit content. I'd like to draw your attention to a really great app called Rover. This is an app that allows students to access the internet and also allows them to access websites that are suitable for them, and allows them to access these websites even if they have what's called Flash. A common complaint I've heard from teachers is that the iPads cannot show Flash files, which is an animation file. However, Rover allows students to view these websites, and there's a lot of great ones. And some of them do take Flash, and the Rover app will allow the student to view those Flash features in the websites. This is a great app, not only to allow students to view safe content and to view Flash, but also just for the teacher and the student to get some new website ideas. These are all recommended websites that are all educational. They're arranged by elementary school at the top. Oops, what did I do? Okay. Oh, I've selected something, I see. And it says this website's blocked. So let's go back to our home page there. So elementary school in the top, middle school in the middle, and high school at the bottom. So that again is Rover. It looks like a little dog on a skateboard. It's great. Well, I hope this has been helpful, and I hope that this has convinced you that iPads are great for people and learners of all ages.